Welcome back. For our top domestic story this hour, we're following news of a former coder for the CIA who was jailed for allegedly leaking thousands of files to WikiLeaks. He now claims to be the victim of cruel and unusual punishment in prison. RT's Rachel Blevins has been following this story for us and filed this report.
Well, Joshua Adam Schulte is currently in prison awaiting trial for espionage, and now he is claiming that he has been the victim of torture at the hands of prison guards that he says is worse than the treatment inmates endure at Guantanamo Bay. Schulte is a former coder for the Central Intelligence Agency who had top secret level clearance. He stands accused of leaking 8,000 files to WikiLeaks, which made up the organization's infamous Vault 7 leaks that detailed the agency's hacking tools for conducting foreign surveillance. However, the U.S. government has yet to bring a case against the accused leaker, and he has been detained in the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York since 2017. In a letter to the judge who revoked his pretrial release last year and ordered him to be remanded without bail, Schulte claimed that when he asked for a meeting with his legal counsel, he was forced into solitary confinement with no explanation. Quote, "My fellow slaves constantly scream, pound, and claw at their cages, attempting to get attention for basic needs fulfilled," he wrote. "I've witnessed men dragged from their cages, beaten and maced. An officer even uncuffed an inmate and told him to fight away from the cameras. Abuse runs rampant." The former CIA coder alleges that the treatment he has endured is worse than the torture methods used on both political dissidents in North Korea and suspected terrorists at Guantanamo Bay. Schulte claimed the torture he and his fellow inmates are subjected to includes filthy showers, regular flooding of their cells with ice-cold water, exposure to constant blast of cold air, and sleep deprivation caused by uncontrollable lights. The charges Schulte currently faces include the theft and unauthorized disclosure of classified information from the Central Intelligence Agency. He is also charged with possession of child pornography and criminal copyright infringement after federal agents claim they found thousands of images and videos on his computer. Now it remains to be seen if this letter will influence the former CIA employee's sentence, but his accusations detail a culture of corruption that is impacting a number of inmates, and experts have warned that his experience could be used as an example to discourage future whistleblowers. In Washington, Rachel Blevins, RT.
With whistleblower treatment in question, we're joined now by former CIA analyst Ray McGovern. You can find his work at raymcgovern.com. Ray, I wanted to ask you for your thoughts on that information Rachel just reported on, the treatment of this whistleblower.
Well, if you think back at Bradley Manning and how he was given to the Marines to be given the treatment, this is not unusual. They want to show how serious this is. And indeed, it is very serious. Now, I don't know if Schulte is the guilty one here, but when Julian Assange described this leak as more important and more comprehensive than all the material that Ed Snowden brought out into Hong Kong, that says something. And the samples that he already released, of course, bespeak a massive cyber attack capability on part of the CIA with cooperation from the NSA, much of which was now revealed.
We're talking about the Vault 7 leaks
correct.
here. Can you remind viewers some of the important revelations we have as a result of that leak?
Yeah. Well, the most important was something called Marble Framework, okay? And that enabled a service like the CIA to hack into a computer or a server, disguise who hacked in, and leave telltale signs like, ooh, a little Cyrillic, Russian language, or Persian, Arabic, Korean, and Chinese were the other languages that they used. This was all documentary evidence that someone leaked to Julian Assange. Now, that exploded the fable that it was sure that the Russians hacked into the DNC because, well, we've already shown that nobody hacked and it was a leak. But besides that, of course, you have now the notion that, wow, there's an alternative explanation. And the explanation is, and I dare to say it here, that it was the CIA's own offensive cyber tools, namely Marble, that was responsible for what they call the Russian hack. No other than Vladimir Putin, who's not usually cited as a reliable source, but in this case, he told, what's her name, Megyn Kelly, he said, you know, it's really curious. Foreign Service has the amazing capability to hack in. There's guys who hacked in, and they're very clever, and they attribute it to somebody else. Can you imagine that capability, Megyn? And she goes, and he says, well, I can. So he wanted to let it be known. Of course, nobody picked it up. Then he knows about all this stuff, okay? The bottom line here is that Julian Assange tried to parlay what he had into a conditional, what's the word, free passage, kind of pardon agreement with the Department of Justice. And this all happened in February and March of 2017. What happened was when Mark Warner, the senator from Virginia, who's deputy chief of the House Intelligence Committee, when he learned of that, he told Comey, head of the FBI, saying, these guys are trying to get from Julian Assange technical information indicating that it wasn't Russia, it wasn't anybody that hacked into the DNC, and they're trying to parlay that into some sort of a deal. And immediately, Comey told Mark Warner, tell him to stand down, stand down. What's more important than releasing sensitive information from the CIA is protecting this legend that it was the Russians that hacked. Really interesting stuff.
It definitely is. You brought up the case of Army whistleblower Chelsea Manning. Her treatment was described as cruel and inhumane by the UN in 2012. But can you talk about other lesser-known whistleblowers that are still in prison being treated poorly? Because she's since been released, and yet, you know, there are other people like, for example, Jeffrey Sterling, who are still behind bars.
Yeah. And you know, well, John Kiriakou did his 2 years. It's really quite remarkable that this kind of just passes along as accepted activity now. We used to be against torture. What do we have now? We have the Senate Intelligence Committee acquiescing in the torturer-in-chief of the first CIA black site in Thailand. Her name was Gina Haspel. It's documented. Her name is on those documents. She was supervising the waterboarding and worse of al-Nashiri.
Right. They
knew that. They recommended that she be approved, and now she's running the CIA.
She's running the CIA.
Yeah.
Right. So you can imagine, one can imagine why WikiLeaks editor or Julian Assange is a little bit worried about the possibility of perhaps being turned over to the U.S. government with these types of characters in power. We'll have to leave it there for now. Former CIA analyst Ray McGovern. Again, you can see his writing at raymcgovern.com. Thanks so much.
Most welcome.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.